Go.
So, we all know the sad, tragic story of little Bunny Foo-Foo. Poor little Bunny couldn't listen to the good fairy, didn't listen to him at all, refused to listen to her actually, and just kept going right along, whomping all those field mice on the head. Pretty painful. So, eventually, one day, she's a bunny. Yes, it is a girl. Everyone gets the story wrong when we call her a boy. It is a girl. She's going right along, whomping all the field mice. The good fairy catches her. One day she's a bunny, poof. The next day she's a goon. So everyone knows that story, but no one knows what comes after. So that's what I'm going to cover today in this story. So, little bunny Foo-Foo, we're going to refer to her as Foo-Foo right now. She gets turned into a goon by the good fairy. What you don't know is the good fairy's sister, the better fairy, adds some purple feathers and some lime green polka dots. Because she thought, you know, purple and lime green, she likes those colors a lot. How embarrassing. So, she's got purple feathers, lime green polka dots. She doesn't fit in with the bunnies anymore because she's a goon. She doesn't fit in with the goons. She's kind of lonely. Does everyone know what a goon is? No? Okay. So, a goon is a teeny tiny little body. It's only about that tall. It's got this huge head. I'm not talking just like normal huge, I'm talking huge head. And it's also got some moose antlers. So it's not looking too hot. And then to top it all off, they're usually blue. So she really doesn't fit in because she's purple and she's got polka dots. So she's really an outsider. She's pretty lonely until she meets the worst fairy, the younger brother of the better and good fairies. And obviously he's not a very good fairy. For one, he's a boy. I'm pretty sure fairies are supposed to be girls. And for two, obviously he doesn't compare to the good and better fairy because it's called the worst fairy. That's the name. So she meets him and he's just really excited because he doesn't really have any friends because clearly he's the worst fairy out of all of them. So they're going along and one day they're talking and she decides, well, he's kind of got the evil gene because he's the worst fairy. So she's going to ask him a question. This is what little Bunny Foo-Foo says. So, like, since you're the worst fairy and all, and you have the evil genes, do you think you could turn me back into a bunny? Because, like, you're the worst fairy, you still have powers, right? And he says, well, of course I still have powers. I am a fairy, and I'm a man after all. So she asks him to turn her into a bunny again, and he says yes because obviously he wants to prove he's a man because that's what all guys like to do. And then that's the truth. Wants to prove he's still a man, so he tries to turn her back into a bunny, and he just really wants her to like him too. So he turns her back into a bunny, kind of. And all across the land, all you can hear is, "You stupid fairy, where is my tail?" He forgot the tail. So he left the polka dots, he forgot her tail, she's pretty peeved off. She doesn't have a tail, and she considers that a very essential part of being a bunny. So she's pretty mad, but she decides that they can still be friends because he does have special powers after all, even though they're obviously not perfect. So they go on, and the next day she's a little bit cooled off, she's not as mad at him anymore. And she asks him, "What do you want to do today?" And he says, "I don't know, what do you want to do?" And she asks him, "So, have you ever whomped on a little field mouse before?" And he says, "No, I thought that was against the rules." And she says, "They're not really rules, they're more like guidelines. So you don't actually have to follow them, so we're not going to get in trouble." So then they decide to go out into the field, and they start whomping the little field mice on the head. Can everybody go like this? Alright, that's what they do. Every day after day, year after year. They do this for years and years. And as they go on, they never get caught because the worst fairy bettered his powers a little bit and figured out how to put people to sleep. Even though he can't change what they are without forgetting the tails, he figured out how to put them to sleep. So every time someone sees them whomping the field mice, since it's not okay to do that, he puts them to sleep before they go tell the good and better fairies. So, after years and years of this, they go on, and one day, the worst fairy and Foo Foo are out whomping the field mice again and again, and then the Better Fairy's maid sees them, and she's like freaking out, running around screaming, hands up in the air, "You're not supposed to do that!" You know, how like our moms run around and say that all the time. So the Worst Fairy tries to put her to sleep, and it's not working, because now that it's gone on for years and years, he's finally hit puberty, and his hormones are messing up all of his powers, and he can't do it anymore. So he's kind of freaking out, and the Better Fairy's maid runs and tells the Better Fairy, and she comes stomping out, and I mean like stomping out to yell at him. You know that look when your mom knows you're doing something wrong, and you know you're doing something wrong? That's the look that she had on her face. So she comes stomping out to find him, and she grabs the Worst Fairy by its tiny wings, picks him up, grabs Foo Foo by her little bunny ears, hauls him back in the fairy castle, and she starts chewing them out. Like, royally chewing them out. And they're pretty scared. They're like shaking in their boots, because they don't know what she's gonna do. So then, the Better Fairy decides that she's gotta put a stop to this somehow, otherwise they're just gonna keep conniving together and keep doing evil things. And who knows, they might actually do something worse than bopping a field mouse on the head. So then, she decides that she's gonna promise little bunny Foo Foo, as long as she stays away from the field mice and stays away from the Worst Fairy, that she'll change her back into a bunny, give her a tail and everything again, and get rid of the spots. And if she breaks that promise and either talks to the Worst Bunny again or messes with the field mice again, then she is going to get turned into an ugly toad. Now, little bunny Foo Foo is kind of like stuck up, and she's like, I don't want to be a toad. Toads are gross. So she decides that she's going to take up that offer, and she agrees, of course. So then little bunny Foo Foo goes on her way, and then the Better Fairy punishes the Worst Fairy as well. And his punishment is he has to wear a pink frilly dress, complete with the high heels and wand, forever, for the rest of his fairy life. That's pretty embarrassing for a boy. Am I right? Would you want to wear a pink frilly dress? No? Okay. So that's pretty embarrassing for him. So he's pretty upset about that, but little bunny Foo Foo's gone on her way. She's got her tail again, and he's taken his punishment. And they both agree never to talk again. And all is well in the fairy castle again until the awful bunny meets, the awful fairy, meets little bunny Foo Foo. But that's a different story. So, the end.